First up is Gabriel, and let's just isolate the character. And take a look at the various UV maps. So just right mouse click, two panes side by side, panels, panel, UV editor. And it's a little hard to see with that checker background, so I'm going to go textures. I'm sorry, image, and then turn off display image. Okay, so at a quick glance, that looks okay. Let's see if we can get the checker thing to show up. It looks like it's working. Actually, let me turn this off and back on again. I'll just isolate her there. Okay. And yeah, at a quick glance, nothing seems problematic. One thing you could consider doing is increasing the size of the face so that you have more resolution to work with when you're painting there, because that's a bit small. And if you have a close up on the face, I mean, like let's say this whole texture is, you know, let's 2048. This is one, two, three. And this is like this would be like two of these across would be, let's say, just roughly 200 by 200 pixels, and not even that, because it doesn't even have that whole width. And so you can imagine that 200 pixels isn't a lot of room, and so you could do 4096 by 4096, but then even then it's like, so that's less, maybe 400 pixels or less, like closer to 300. So anyways, you probably want more room for the face. But as far as the cuts, it looks good. There seems to be some kind of, oh, I guess that's just, looks like there's a seam down the middle, but it might just be a hard edge. Is that all that is? Just making sure there's not extra. I'm just gonna just selecting that, shift right mouse click, and soften, and see if that fixes that. Yeah, that fixed that issue. So you can see that along the belly too. I can take that and just shift right mouse click, soften edge, soften edge. Yeah, that looks better. Alright, yeah, I still think the face could use some more sculpting, but it's alright. So let's look at the rest of the character UV map. Oh, I didn't really look at color feedback. A little pink here and there. If we're not going to see the breasts anyways with this top on, so I wouldn't be concerned about that. And yeah, the nose is a bit red, so that's going to not be great. But again, I would say sometimes if you like cut out the nostrils and then um, unfold again, they actually, let's turn off this color feedback. Make sure I got that. Like, I might even, this nose is a little weird, but I might even see what happens if you cut out that whole section. And then let's select these. Just make sure I'm in shell. There we go. And unfold. Just make sure I have the right options here. Okay. Now it wants you to do UVs. Shift right mouse click, or control right mouse click to show. Okay, let's try that again. And let's just look at color feedback again. Alright, well, it's just relative to the size of it, but let's scale that up. see what kind of color feedback we're getting now. So might be better now. And then, so I would make the face bigger and then lay these out again. And I think you'll be happier when you actually go to paint the face with that bigger face. And you'll see the checker size is, smaller for the face, but that's kind of the point because you have more resolution to work with there. Okay. And those look fine. And that looks fine. Yeah. You check color feedback too. I think there's something on there that's, oh yeah, it doesn't like to move around when you're, for some reason those edges are really, it's saying they're stretched compared to that, but I wouldn't worry about it. I think you're fine because the checkers look fine. Okay, yeah, really it's, I would say you could texture right away. I would do that stuff with the face to give you more room to paint, but besides that, looking good. Next up is Marcela, and yeah, the character is looking pretty good. I might isolate it just to make that a little easier to work with. I don't know why it's showing up all white like that. It's weird. Sure it's making it hard to look at. Huh. Alright, well I don't know what's going on there. So, yeah, just looking at some of you've got some topology issues, like, I would want these loops to go all the way around. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided face here and over there. So I would want to continue these loops around, and these are leaving a lot of space there, so I might, slide those. Shift right mouse click, slide edge. I might slide those down some, to give yourself some room. Oh, that's weird. It's not very level here. I have to reshape that a little bit, but just kind of getting that cleaned up. And then, yeah, you've got this real big angle in there, which is sort of throwing off the topology. So I would try to clean that up a little bit. Some of these shapes in here. And then slide edge and move that up, and then maybe multi-cut tool, shift right mouse click, and then actually, it might be easier to do this. Just select these two guys, and then shift right mouse click and delete edge, and then get the multi-cut tool, and then just add a couple new ones where that goes all the way around, and then clean up the shape from there, etc. I know I haven't really, and I'd probably have another loop around the arm here and kind of work on the shapes. I would spend a little time in the model actually before trying to, because these are all really blocky and square. I would kind of round off the fingers some, and these are pretty tight. These knuckles, and you give the knuckles a little more shape. And spread these out a little bit because those are pretty tight. Maybe spread these out a touch, and round off the fingers and work on the shape there. That's something that's gone a little wacky. The thumb. You mentioned having an issue with the symmetry. So I just want to show that again. So let's say you made some changes like this, Is this a, did you combine separate surfaces here? Let me see something real quick. Mesh, separate. Yes, you did. Yeah, don't do that. People keep doing that. I don't know why people keep doing that. I mean, combine them if you're going to merge, and make it into one seamless surface, but don't combine them if they're, if they're these separate shapes that don't line up. I mean, yeah, because see, they don't, there's these like gaps in here. If you're going to merge these together, you need to, really properly do that. So, like, you could do mesh. If you're going to combine those two together, let me just isolate these. Why is it doing that? And then you'll have to merge each pair of vertices if you want to do that. So I would just do shift right mouse click, merge vertices, merge to center, and then work your way around with each pair. I can use G to do the previous function, the G key. But you can't leave these gaps in here if you're going to have a merge, because it's not really, one seamless surface. If you leave, whoops, what happened there? Just cleaning that up. Just repeating that merge to center function. With the G key on the keyboard. I know I haven't even looked at the... Anyways, go around. I'm not going to do it. Just go around the rest of the way. I guess I can do it. I think I got all the way around. Should be able to tell by just double clicking this edge. Yeah, it goes around. And then you'd really need to get in there and clean up the shape a little bit. Okay, so say you did that, and then you wanted to mirror it. So delete 1/2 of this, and just grab this inside edge here. Well, got a lot of stuff in the way. Yeah, I would keep this stuff in a separate file. I would not have my character in the same file as all this other stuff. So select that open edge. Control F9 will convert it to vertices. Whoops, I didn't mean to hit that. Make sure it's set to absolute transform. W for move tool. X should be set to 0. Enter. So I think what happened there? Oh, that's alright, I guess. Oh, X, I get it. It should be Z because you did this in the right view instead of the front view. Okay, yeah, you see that little bit of movement there. So it was the Z column because, yeah, this is the Z direction. Okay, so we know that center line looks good. And then shift right mouse click. Wait, we can mirror here, can't we? Mirror. And that's going to be positive Z. And then just make sure the merge social. I just clicked on the poly mirror and change this to 0.001 so it doesn't screw up any. You can see some stuff changed down there. So now you should have a symmetrical surface. and because I think you would ask a question about symmetry. So I would do some model cleanup before really doing the UV mapping on this one. I think you need more loops around the mouth and the eyes and get that shaped a little bit more. Color's a little crazy with the jagged stuff here, but I guess that's alright. And then, yeah, I didn't, really look at the UV map yet. It's probably going to be all screwed up now because I made all those changes, so I'm sure it won't be right. But we can just, reopen it and judge it on that. So here it is before I made any changes, and we can just check the UV map. Yeah, that's not looking right. Yeah, this doesn't look like it has enough cuts in it at all. That doesn't either. And I don't like cutting the face down the center. Oh, and this was the thing where you had merged it and it's not seamless. I mean, the thing is, we got to take a step back and really clean up the model before doing this. I would, start out, do mesh separate, and then, you know, that's fine that that's separate. And I mean, this should be, I would think the arm should be seamless with that body, the leg's seamless, but let's just look at this one piece as an example and look how kind of messed up and overlapping it is there. So, um, just to have one example, to redo this, yeah, it doesn't fill up the quadrant at all. Look at that. It's just in the corner there. So I would start by create UVs planar to make it one seamless thing, and then put in your cuts. So probably one around the neck. And again, yeah, all this stuff is real blocky. It could be real rounded off. I think the model needs more attention. Cut that. I like to have display polygon texture border edges, and it makes that line thicker so you can see where your cuts are. C is symmetry working? No, it's not. Okay. So yeah, that would be cutting the thing in half again. And yeah, going around the shoulder. I might make this symmetrical first because otherwise it's going to take twice as much time. Just to do this example. Select that inside edge, Control F9. We set it 0 in the Z direction. There we go. Shift right mouse click, mirror, positive Z. What? Oh, I didn't delete these spaces. And just make sure that my merge threshold is really, really low. Okay. So now let's see if I'm just holding down W, symmetry. So what? That should work. I'm really surprised. Oh, because it's on x-axis. That's the problem. We want z-axis. Ah, okay. Sorry, my bad. Okay, so this will be easier now, a lot faster. Yeah, this is just kind of a mess here right now. You really need to clean up those shapes. But just working with what we have, just so we can see how you would go about unfolding. And this is already cut along here when I did the neck. Oh, jeez, I need to redo the planer thing. Okay, sorry. Start again. Cut that. Yeah, this is all a little messed up here. Actually, what is going on with this? It's just really hard. Yeah, it's just you really need to kind of even this out. I'm not going to try to cut this up because you really need to go back and clean up the model before you do the UV mapping. Um, so yeah, I would take a step back and work on the model for a bit and then cut it up. Next up is amber. Um, just take a look at this. I think you could work on these shapes a bit more. Um, might want to soften that edge. Shift right mouse click, soften, soften. And this is kind of interpenetrating here. I might work on that a little bit. Um, what's going on here? That's kind of going to be too low resolution to work with, and you sort of got you don't have to have um, you've got all this stuff on top of all this other stuff. I understand you're doing a body and clothes, but if we don't see the body underneath, like if we don't see the feet under the shoes, you don't have to have a model for it, and you're just actually going to make your life difficult. So, for something, at least something like the shoes, I would just model the shoes or just model the pants because we don't see the body underneath. Here you've got this vest thing, so it does make some sense to have this underneath, but I might delete everything below the waist and just have those shoes be separate. But these shoes definitely need more loops, they need more shape to them. They're not going to bend well as is. Um, yeah, and this could just use a little bit more shapes, more loops around the eyes and mouth. Maybe a little bit more thickness to the neck there. Let's take a look at the UV map. Oh, it looks pretty good. Let's see if I'm going to have the same... okay, yeah, you've got that on there, but should be able to see the checker, but it's not working. I think you described that in your post. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, this red's probably red because it's relative to the size of the head. Everything looks okay to me. And then we can see that again here. So, UV map looks good. Not really seeing any big problem. I might rework these shoes a little bit. I think you have more cuts than needed. But really, I think the model of the shoe needs to be worked on just to give that more definition and just more shape and more edge loops because there's just not enough detail to work with here. And you probably just cut off the sole and then, maybe a cut down the back, and I don't know. You can do a few cuts, but it's probably more For a shape that simple, it probably doesn't need to be that cut up. But then again, I would say make the shape a little more complex. So a little bit of stretching going on here. Yeah, and there's some strangeness there. I don't think you cut this up enough, maybe. It's hard to tell. Let's look at the different shells. Let me isolate this object. It's definitely something's going wrong with that. That's one quadrant of it. That's the front. Let's do this. Let's just do this one again and see how we come out. So do you have thickness to the whole thing? That adds a challenge. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Okay, I'm going to redo this one and let's see where we end up. Because there's definitely some stretching, some sort of oddly shaped checks there. And yeah, look at the back. That's a little whack. So create UVs planar just to kind of reset. Not that that looks good. It doesn't. And then let's cut this up. I don't want to see the checker thing. So probably gonna go around the bottom here. The thickness of that. Maybe the seams along the side. Probably these, maybe, or those. That one kind of really wraps around the back more. So I think, yeah, maybe cutting these would be better. Cut those and make sure I get these along the top. Just double clicking those and make sure that continues around. And cut that, and something around the neck here I think could be good to get that top piece separated out. So that top is separated from the rest. And I might want to cut that too because I don't like cylinders going all the way around stuff. So, but just the top, I think we have enough cuts on the. I'm just going to deselect those and just get the, yeah, just around the top, this top sort of color piece. Don't need that one. Cut that. Okay, let's do display polygons, texture border edges. It's kind of hard to see, but you can sort of see where my cuts are. That side piece. Not loving the side things, but maybe it would have been better to do those. But the problem is that kind of, instead of that going down, we'd have to kind of zigzag around if we use that side, which I might do. Okay, let's do that. So if I want to put these back together, I need to do so. And then let's try this one. Yeah, I think that'll be better. It's a little less obvious of a seam. It's still going all the way around. Okay, cut that. Alright. Now let's grab our UVs and unfold. So these thin things I made. That makes some sense. Now what is that? Oh, that ended up as a little separate piece by itself. I'm not very excited about that. Oh, and that's a separate piece? Why is that? I thought that would go all the way around. Like all the way around here. I think I might sew that one. And that one. Yeah, I mean, these pieces are still looking a little weird, but let's see what the texture looks like on this now. Can you see? Actually, it does look a lot better. They look a lot more square and a lot more even now. So that was a big improvement, I think. It's a little weird. This, I think, with these guys, like I don't think I needed to cut it on both sides. I think I could have just cut it along one side of it. So I might like sew those back together. And let's unfold again. Are these somehow? Oh, I need to separate these shells now. What? Looks really weird. Is there something going on with this model? I think it's alright. Yeah, it's just that inside-outside thing. I don't know, maybe it was better off before when those were the weird little separate strips. Anyways, at least this stuff will paint better now. Alright, so that can give you some idea on how to improve that. Next up is Eddie. And by the way, you can get rid of these vertices by going to display polygon. Um, where are they? Oh, vertices. So I would say that clearly the character is not done. And the hands are looking kind of weird and thick. So I would say that those fingers look crazy. So you really need to finish your character before UV mapping. And right now it's not UV mapped at all. Anyways, so I would say that you need to just work on the modeling right now, and then we can get the UV map when you finish the model. There's absolutely no point in UV mapping until you finish the model, so keep going there. Okay, next up is Eugene, and not exactly sure how you've broken this up, like what's included in what UV map. But I guess what I would say is like, if the head's a separate shape anyway, why not? Oh, that looks weird. Why is that happening? I don't know. It's probably something with my Maya, but why not maximize the area? You know what I mean? As long as, because when you're working on like a game asset or something and you have really limited texture space, sometimes you want to, fit as much as you can into each texture, but we don't really have to worry about that. So why not, for example, have the face fill up the whole um, area here? I'd probably turn that straight, but you get the idea. Let's see what the checkers look like on that. Is that going to work? It's not. I don't know what the deal is. I might put just to check our texture on him. Do you have one in here already? You do. Is that not showing up for some strange reason? That's very odd. Yeah, this is one thing you guys can check if you're not getting. You can if you're having trouble with your viewpoint 2.0, sometimes these will solve some of the color feedback issue and stuff like that. It's probably just something with my. It's really weird though that he's staying blue. Like it shouldn't, once you turn the color feedback off, it shouldn't stay red and blue. Might have to reboot or something. That does not look laid out to me. Am I wrong? Boy, it sure isn't showing there. I don't know, it's being funny. Maybe it is alright. I don't know. Yeah, it is one big shell, so that tells me that that has not been cut up, which makes me think it's not really laid out correctly. So, do you have it on this side? Yeah. So, what I would say is you need to cut that up. I don't know what's going on with my display here. It's really messed up. Yeah, it shouldn't be like that. Let me try reopening the. Okay, it looks like we're getting the checkers now at least. Yeah, I mean, notice how his face is solid black, and that's because it's like one big check. Again, I would say, fill up this whole space with that, and you get a little more texture resolution to work with. This, like I said, needs to be cut up and laid out. Again, stuff like that. What are we looking at here? The shorts. Don't know if they have enough cuts. Let's just isolate that. But again, why not give them the full space to work with that they could have? There's a seam down the back, I guess. Is there? I guess some. Oh, I see one of those. That's the front. That's the back. Yeah. All right. Although. Oh, that's the seam down the front. Oh, okay, this is the back. There's no seam in the front. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, these are going to have some overlapping. Let's see. Yeah, anything that's a separate object could have its own texture, which means it could fill up this space, and it'll just be easier, and it'll allow you to have more. There's no reason to, unless that's sharing with another, object. But I don't know really how this is organized. I guess it's all that stuff as one texture, but I don't know what else comes with it to kind of fill in the rest of that space. Yeah, now we're already overlapping, so obviously it's not that thing. Yeah, it'd be good to split this up into layers. If you are going to have one image per several objects, then it'd be good to kind of split those in layers to know which is which and make selection easier. And again, unless that's sharing this image with something else, you know, fill up the space, lay it out. And might as well. Yeah, that's awfully small. Wow. Just that piece there. I mean, you're definitely going to want a more, you know, like I was saying in a different piece, if this ends up being 2048 by 2048, then this square is like, you know, 100 by 100, and that just wouldn't be too much resolution to paint much detail in there. Um, so yeah, I just figure out how these are organized and then split them up and then make sure that stuff like this is cut up into different shells and unfolded. Most of your stuff seems to be unfolded pretty well. So overall, this is really good work. Um, I would just say, yeah, for something like this, when you have the opportunity to, that looks like maybe a few too many pieces, but you know, you can fill up the space and you have a lot more texture resolution to work with. So yeah, maybe just take another pass at each of those and use the space a little bit more. Next up is Jessica, and I might isolate the character from the set. So yeah, this looks like one where, okay, so clearly the UV map is having some pretty significant issues, and I think the character could use a little bit more attention first as well, but this UV map isn't really there at all. So I would work on cleaning up the mesh before I did anything else, and we've got, yeah, it looks like you have like copies of the character on top of each other. Um, I don't know which one you're working on or what's going on here. So, um, yeah, it looked like one doesn't have hands and one did. I don't know. It's a little bit of a mess. But these hands really need some more work. Those are totally unfinished. Um, and yeah, this really could be shaped a lot more, a few more edge loops, and I think in the first step is to really get this model completed before seriously UV mapping it. But right now the UV map is not right at all. I mean, that doesn't look like checkers at all. Um, and I'm wondering if you combine stuff that wasn't, nope. But just take a quick look at the, yeah, that UV map's not done at all. So yeah, work on the model a bit more and then start cleaning up the UV map. I don't know if that makes much sense to, you know, spend time on the UV map, but um, yeah, there's just a lot of weird kind of pokey things going on here. The feet need some more edge loops, a little bit more shape. Um, yeah, so just the model needs a lot of cleanup before. And I think you made it difficult with, you know, trying to pull the closed shapes out of the body. Um, I would make them as just separate objects from the body instead of having it to one continuous shape. So take another pass at that, at the character model, and then we can take a look at the UV map, because there's not any point of UV mapping something that's not a complete model. Yeah, and it's good the hair's separate, so at least that's separate. So, you know, stuff that you can separate, you know, having a separate shirt is not a bad idea. Um, Having separate pants is not a bad idea. Separate shoes. They don't all have to be one seamless shape if you have clothes on them. So yeah, keep going on the model, and then let's work on the UV after. Next up is Jose, and it's interesting how this is sort of a little twisted and warped there. Not sure exactly what's going on, but think that, yeah, it doesn't really like to be, anytime you have something going all the way around like that. So what I would do to help with this is, it needs some more cuts. So I would cut along the bottom here and along the side and up at the shoulders. So you cut around the neck? I can't tell. Let's start with that and see where that gets us. Okay, so that weird twisted thing is gone. Let's see what our shells look like. Oh, that didn't separate. I've just one little edge left that I didn't cut. Okay, this is problematic. Which shell is that? I would have thought that that would not have been so messed up, but yeah, I probably this by the way, this foot really needs some more shaping, and you definitely need at least three loops around the knee and three loops around the ankle, and get some more shape to this leg and ankle. So really, we shouldn't be spending too much time on the UV map until that. And I can see you've got some loops at the elbow, but they're much too close together. I mean, look how relatively close these are compared to almost any other loop on the character. So spread those guys out. Um, Shift right mouse click slide edge. And just get more detail on the fingers, more, way not enough loops. And again, you have these really tightly put loops, but you need to get those spread out, form the knuckles, get more shape to the fingers. There's clearly not enough geometry here for the hands, for the knees. So yeah, that stuff needs to be reworked. So that's the kind you'll need to fix the model before we can get serious about the UVs. But add some loops at the knee, something like that, and then kind of work on the shape here a little bit. Just really it's getting in there and pushing and pulling points, but get some shape to the push in the back of the knee, and round this stuff out, and let me pull out the knee a little bit and pull these in, just getting a little more shape to the knee. So I think you just need to spend a lot of time getting the model finished before you worry about the UV map. So you've got some issues going on here. You've got some multi-sided faces here like that and that aren't so good. So continue these loops and connect those up. So yeah, I mean right now it's also don't combine unless it's a seamless shape. So like things like eyeballs and stuff should not be combined. I don't know why people keep doing that. So yeah, keep working on the model, and then we can get the UVs right.